now, after 1979, let's take a look at what is happening here. In the meantime, Taiwan is doing dramatic things. Taiwan, even though she only has 20 million people, has become the 18th largest economic power on the face of the earth. She is the second largest producer of computer chips. And does anyone recognize the importance of computer chips in our present world economy? Furthermore, Taiwan has the second largest gold reserves in the whole world, making her very, very wealthy. Because Chiang Kai-shek was smart enough when he fled to Taiwan to take all of China's gold with him. Okay. So Taiwan cannot really be ignored because she's producing second largest number of computer chips in the world. Plus she's incredibly wealthy, so she has great economic power. So what's happening now? Here we're going to look at recent major developments. We're going to skip to 1996. In 1996, there was a man who visited the United States of America. He's a general in the Chinese army. His name is Zhuang Guangcai. And he sat down with Charles Freeman. The Charles Freeman who we quoted about several slides back, said that war is going to probably happen. I don't know when, but it's probably going to happen. This man, it was reported in the New York Times on January the 24th of 1996, said, we don't believe the United States is going to defend Taiwan because we don't believe you're willing to trade Los Angeles for Taiwan. A not-so-veiled threat. If you interfere in Taiwan, we're going to take Los Angeles out. That was in 1996. And something else very important happened in 1996. The decision was made to have democratic elections in Taiwan. Now, up till this time, even though Taiwan was known as Free China, they had no democracy. Chiang Kai-shek had ruled with an iron hand. He's now passed away. A new man comes on the scene, and now they have democratic elections. Well, America is the bastion of democracy. How can we forsake Taiwan? So we've got this Taiwan Relations Act, and so here's what we say. We say we believe in one China, and that Taiwan should someday be reunified with China, but it must only be done peacefully. It must not be done by force. Now then, China, when they start to have these democratic elections, China says, Chinese people don't have democracy, and they never have had it in 5,000 years. But now they want to have democracy, so they declare they're going to have democratic elections. And just before the democratic elections, China showed her displeasure by lobbing missiles 5 miles off of Taiwan's coast. So what does President Clinton do? He moves 2 aircraft carriers into the Straits of Taiwan and 100,000 men into the area. Well, China backs down. But China doesn't give up. That was 96. 97, Hong Kong, another very rich island, a very rich area. The lease of Great Britain on Hong Kong expires after 150 years. When they got it, it was nothing. When they turned loose of it, it's one of the economic centers of the world. And when that lease expired, China swallowed in one big gulp. So adding to China's 10% per year economic growth, she adds this huge growth of Hong Kong, and she's thinking, if I get Hong Kong and I get Taiwan, plus this other huge economic growth, it'll help us to overtake the United States of America, and we will in fact rule the world during the 21st century. That's what's going on here. So in 1997, Hong Kong reverts to mainland control, and then in the spring of 1999, Mr. Zhu Ranji, the Prime Minister of China, wants to visit the United States because the time has come that China wants to be a part of the World Trade Organization so that it can in fact play a significant role in the world economy. So Zhu Ranji comes here, meets with President Clinton, and it looks like everything is set because they're good friends. They pumped several $100 million into the re-election campaign of Al Gore and President Clinton. I'm not slamming anybody. You read it in your papers. You know it's true. A man recently pled guilty. What's his name? Chang or Chung? He pled guilty in our courts to illegally contributing $300,000 to the Clinton-Gore re-election campaign. And I promise you, you are going to see 1,000 times. If you will see it once, you will see the picture of Al Gore slinking into the Buddhist temple, picking up that illegal money that he picked up. You're going to see that a lot because Gore is trying to turn that negative into a positive and run on the campaign of being a reformer and wanting to do away with all this bad money. And every time he says that, the next thing you're going to see is him slipping into this Buddhist temple, picking up some change of about $300,000. So see, this plot is very thick here. Now beyond that, while Zhu Ranzi is here trying to sign a deal and was already determined, the table was set, guess what? Somebody poisoned the waters. A story broke that a Chinese spy in Los Alamos, one of our key nuclear installations, had loaded all of the advanced plans for our finest missiles and our finest neutron bombs and had taken them away to China. And that's the story that broke right before Clinton was ready to pen the agreement with Zhu Ranzi, which would have brought them in the World Trade Organization. And there was no way politically that Clinton could go ahead and sign that deal. Then 2 months later, the conflict in Kosovo breaks out, and we had some old maps, and we bombed the Chinese embassy in Yugoslavia. And the young people of China, they all come around the embassy, U.S. embassy in China, and our ambassador was locked in there for 4 days while they're peppering the outside with buckets of paint and wrecking the place. And he's in there fearing for his life. And everybody says, let's go to war against the United States. The United States is the great Satan. Now, you watch what's happening here? Then on July the 9th, the very crafty president of Taiwan, President Lee, he's watching this whole thing, and he knows that China's determined to suck Taiwan back in, but they want no part of it. And this is when United States-Chinese relations is at its worst. He thinks this is my time to make the break. Up till now, both sides have ascribed to the one China policy. However, Mr. Lee on July the 9th was doing a radio talk program in Germany, and they were discussing the coming elections to reunify China, and Mr. Lee said, China needs to deal with us on a state-to-state basis. And the Chinese leaders went bonkers because they said, what do you mean state to state? You're not a state. You're a province of the one China, and we're the sole legitimate government of that one China. You're just a renegade province, and you must reunify. And this is tantamount to a declaration of independence. And we have told you if you declare independence, it means war. That was July the 9th. August of 99, the secret paper, which I have a copy of, 11,000 words, sent out to all of the military of China, telling them to prepare for war with Taiwan and with the United States. That was August of 99. September of 99, China conducts mock invasion of Taiwan, 100 miles away, just across the Strait of Taiwan. And the troops chanted, we will liberate Taiwan. October the 1st of 1999, China holds its huge parade in Tiananmen Square, where they, 10 years prior, had taken a tank and run down the student that stood in front of that, and all of us remember that grisly scene. Now then, here they are, celebrating 50 years of communistic rule, where they butchered 60 million people during that 50 years' time. They hold this huge parade, and the soldiers are carrying a huge banner that stretches across Tiananmen Square, which says, we will not wait forever to liberate Taiwan. And China displays her nuclear missiles that can reach the United States of America in that parade. That was October 1, 99. December 20, 1999. Macau is reunified with China. So it's Hong Kong. Macau had been under Portuguese rule for a long time. Now it's reunified. And when I read the speeches that were made by Zhu Ranji and the president of Taiwan, Mr. Zemin, when I read those speeches, the main thing they talked about was, we've got Hong Kong, we've got Macau, and the next one is Taiwan, and that will complete the reunification of the Chinese people. And we can't wait long. That was December 20, 1999. February of the year 2000, China took delivery of a huge ship called the Sovereignty. And this ship has the ability to fire. Matter of fact, is equipped with nuclear missiles. Large enough, one of them can take down an aircraft carrier, like the two that stopped China from invading Taiwan in 1996. She now buys this huge ship, $800 million. They have another one on order. This one's already been delivered. The other one will be delivered later this year because they are preparing for war with the United States of America, and they've got to be able to deal with those aircraft carriers because they're saying, we don't think the United States can respond fast enough because we're going to do a lightning strike, we're going to take over Taiwan, and then the U.S. has got to decide whether they're going to try to put us out or whether they're going to accept a fait accompli. And we think they don't have the logistic ability to bring all the troops necessary to fight 1.2 billion Chinese people. And all this is in the articles. In this 11,000-word white paper, it's all there. This is the reason this will work. And they said, we outlasted them in Vietnam because the American people, once they start experiencing casualties, they're going to start clamoring, bring our boys home. And the latest article they said was, we don't think you're willing to trade 200 million American lives for 20 million Taiwanese. Well, why would they say that? First of all, March of 2000. China begins construction of 2 missile sites just opposite the shores of Taiwan. They had about 30 missiles 2 years ago. They have 200 today. Their goal is to have 600 in the next year or two. All of them aimed at Taiwan. If they blast them all at one time, it would overwhelm any defenses that Taiwan has. March the 18th of the year 2000, the Taiwanese people were warned. About 3 days before this, Zhu Ranzi, the prime minister of China, made a speech to the Taiwanese people. He said, you must not vote for independence because if you do, this will be your last chance to avoid war. And there was one candidate that was known as the pro-independence candidate. His name was Chen Shui-bian. And guess who the Taiwanese people elected? The pro-independence candidate.